Well, picks and bans on the way for Game 3. We'll certainly be thinking about Paul here. CLG has opted for the first selection. Trifecta as the victor. Have to sort of play CLG's game here. A lot of teams have been asking for a secondary pick, actually, and this week on Esports Weekly, Finch and I discussed first versus second pick, and both of us tended to agree that second pick just seems to be a little bit cleaner right now.
It feels better every now and then, but game number 1, CLG was first pick. They won this one. Trifecta, second game, going for a second pick, still wanting to get that counter matchup in the solo lane. Makes a little bit of sense. A lot easier to get the preferred counter matchup that you really want, but first pick, very important when you have a specific strategy. Terra for CLG in games 1 and 2 was still a good, solid idea, worked better in game 1 because of Homiefe's Osiris presence versus his Mercury presence in game 2. Just was not existent.
Well, CLG not going to deviate from the norm. Games 1, 2, and 3 going to the Terra. Here, I want to see the... all right, we'll get the Thoth. I was going to say I want to see the Athena Hoyi, but we're going to see the Thoth. That's what if you're just joining us, that's what they chose in games 1 and 2. Thoth will be the mid lane selection for Trifecta, followed up by a Ganesha. Very interesting choice here. And more importantly, rocking things up. No Hunter selection here for Zapman. We saw Hoyi prioritized earlier. Not the case.
I don't think that they necessarily needed to select the Ganesh. Terra with Ganesh, it seems unlikely that CLG would be the ones to break that duo lane guardian.
I agree.
But Ganesh is just great at countering Terra. You disrupt the dash, prevent the monolith from being shattered, which prevents the root. So it's a good counter matchup. But not picking their Hunter, I think it makes sense because Zapman wants to find out what Snoopy is playing and maybe play aggressive. Also allow for some rotations from Mask and start applying the pressure on the dual lane and get some early goal furies.
What's the chance that Ganesh was banned in round 2?
Very likely that if they did not pick it during the Naja spot, it would be eliminated.
So then basically what I think went down was they knew they wanted to pick. They wanted to go Naja, but I think they wanted to see what these other 2 selections were first. Naja, notoriously one of Mask's finest characters. Really like to see him on the Naja. Should be very interesting for Trifecta. Second round of bans. Trifecta say no to the Thor and to the Osiris. 2 very Homiefe type gods. Also, fineokay has played Thor solo. Certainly a fan of that one as well. So keeping it out of that conversation. And CLG took their notes. No Ho-Yi, as he was selected in games 1 and 2.
I like the Thor ban because you want to eliminate any sort of follow-up that Hurriwind is looking for. That Thor setup between Anvil of Dawn and Tectonic Rift, you want to prevent that. So great ban. Late game selection for Zapman. Artemis should be able to duke it out with Snoopy Xbalanque.
I think Trifecta wanted this Artemis. I think they goaded CLG into banning the Ho-Yi. I think.
True.
I'm not in their comps. I don't know.
I mean, team fighting-wise, a Ho-Yi with the Ganesh, Dharmic Pillars, and the Suns, you're controlling a lot of space
With that said,
everywhere.
Artemis eats up Ra. I have to say, I love the selection of Chaac here from CLG, which is not something we say often, but Chaac recently, I guess not so recently, towards the beginning of the year, got the attack speed debuff back on his healing reign, and Artemis, Naja, 2 characters that you want to keep low on the attack speed. So very, very nice selection there for a god that we don't see very often, and a god that we complain about often, to be honest with you. Across the way, though, Trifecta going to get the Hercules this time around.
I like CLG's draft in game number 2, but they couldn't really bring it. Game number 3, I'm actually leaning towards Trifecta's draft a little bit more. Paul with the Thoth, Zat with the Artemis, and Scary D with his Hercules. It did lose in the last game, but it was an anti-Herc strat, and we'll see if CLG can employ the same idea here.
You know, I like the Chaac in a vacuum. I like Chaac if this is an earlier draft, and I don't see the rest of the draft. But what this CLG team is lacking significantly, crowd control. Where is the CC?
Terra brings quite a bit. Achilles can definitely bring in the stun if he gets point-blank range. That huge AoE silence cannot be ignored.
Yes, I will agree. I still think CLG is a little bit lacking. Terra is very single target focused on her crowd control. You can get lucky and get a couple of people in the collapse. Root, sure. I'm talking about hard CC. It will be enough to line up the Ra shots, but will it be enough to win the game? Game 3, CLG Trifecta. Hindu, aggro, make it rain.
And there we go. It's best of 3 after all, so one of these teams has to walk away with it. But the best thing is, you guys at home get to vote first of all who you think we're going to win. Game 2, 54% of you believe it said CLG.
And
You all idiots.
Wow, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, they just made a mistake.
They were wrong.
wrong, but I wouldn't call them idiots. Maybe misguided friends.
Wrong. How about just that? Wrong.
It's all right, friends.
50 plus. Let's see if you get it right this time round, because there's a lot of slows on both these two teams here. Like,
yes.
It feels like a very slow, heavy game. I want to see some wing blades and some sprints by the looks of this one.
And I think that we'll see either a lot of wing blades or maybe even both alongside the Magi's cloaks, because anytime I see Naja, I'm immediately looking for that bubble to give myself so much safety. It stops the blink ults, it stops the sash into ult combination. It really just annoys Naja a whole lot, and I expect to see quite a bit of it on CLG.
Nothing better than getting straight to 30 seconds into minions spawning, so we don't have to see the start of the game and what's going on there. We can just focus on the action. That's where the important thing is. Paul against Hurriwind in the mid lane. We've seen this before. Thoth getting picked on early. Hurriwind really putting the pressure on there.
Hurriwind did very well for himself on the Soul in Game 1. Game 2, I thought he played pretty well on the Thoth, but Paul had a really rough performance on the Thoth in Game 1. Just never got to do anything aggressive at all. And I wonder how much different this one is going to be. I think that the selection of Naja alongside it will really lend itself to letting Trifecta be the aggressors, but at the same time, Homie's playing a very early game god of his own right in the Achilles, so that could be pretty volatile. If either of these junglers fall behind early on, it could get ugly.
Des was mentioning a little bit about CLG not having much CC. Trifecta, on the other hand, they've got plenty, and I think that's one of the reasons why we see Jigz picking up a beads at the start of the game. Not something you generally see on supports too often.
No, it does shut down the Ganesha Terra sort of interactions in that lane. You can get shut down from dashing very, very easily just because of that Ohm. And the ultimate combination with that, you can really lock a Terra down pretty easily on those, and I think that's really what he's worried about. I think that Ganesh and Naja is a really, really cool combo where you guarantee that they're landing directly onto the Ganesh ult, that they don't have anywhere to go after that. So I'm excited to see how well Trifecta will utilize that combination, but how well it also translate into the late game team fights. That's cool and all when it's 3v3s and 2v2s and you don't have a whole lot of hectic action going on around you. When it gets down and dirty at 30-something minutes, it can be tough to execute.
Well, at the moment, then we'll see what happens. 55% believe it'll be CLG, even though they're a little bit light in terms of hard CC this game, but do have quite a bit of sustain with a Ra in tow. Jigz as well on the Terra will provide a little bit more. And you've also got probably one of the best teamfight ultimates in the game in Darkest of Nights being available for CLG here. They'll see if they can make that impactful up against this Trifecta lineup.
And the lack of hard crowd control does concern me a little bit for Hurriwind, because it's just so hard to consistently hit raw snipes, even as one of the best mid laners in the world. You're playing against the best players in the world at the same time. They know where you're going to aim for your raw snipes a lot of the time, and hard CC just makes your life that much easier as a raw player. So we'll see how well Hurriwind can do. If he's hitting snipes consistently, then the lack of hard crowd control will not matter to CLG at all. But if Hurry's missing those searing pains, then I'll bet you CLG is going to be thinking about whether or not they drafted enough hard CC overall.
Paul is really against Mage's Blessing.
Yeah, he doesn't like it.
At all.
Well, it doesn't really, like, he's so used to playing without it. I mean, he constantly goes the Pancroft's 2 rush, the Book of Souls rush, the Soul Reaver 2, that I guess if you aren't used to playing with it, you don't miss it, right?
Sure, but then again, I mean, it's not like it's a terrible item or you're being forced into it more than anything else. It's a very good, effective item for 800 gold.
I agree with you, and I'd be building it on Thoth for sure. We saw Hurriwind do it in the last game and had some pretty good success with it in the early game, but again, it really comes down to the fact that now is where Paul needs to make an impact, because now is his biggest power spike normally, but Hurriwind's already farmed up so much that he also has his pen boots done. Right now, Hurriwind just has a Mage's Blessing over Paul. They have the exact same build, except Hurriwind has way more MP5, a little bit more magical power, his abilities hit a little bit harder, and Paul doesn't have the same amount of sustain.
Masking a bit of a lead over Homiefe at the moment by a little bit of experience. He just hit 5 a little bit earlier on. We'll take the trip back to base now for his full warrior tabby. Paul has hung around, however, and needs to be very careful of the aggression coming out from this jungle. Achilles, which we see now and again. We saw it in the solo lane earlier on, but now into the jungle position.
And Paul went for the Aegis, so if Homie can be aggressive and find the stun onto Paul, that's more than enough time for Hurriwind to guarantee himself a snipe. If Jigz shows up and lands a stun, Paul could be in a lot of trouble. So he did this in game 1 as well and kind of got punished for it
We'll have to see if it works out the exact same way again, because this is a bit of a risk for Paul, but there is a lot of damage that you want to immune with the Aegis instead of worrying about crowd control. I mean, we already talked about there is a little bit of a lack of that for CLG, so I think Paul's a little bit more worried about the stun from Shield of Achilles, the damage from Fatal Strike. It stops that execute from coming through as well.
So left-hand side, 3 members grouped up here. Homiefe was just over here to pick up the purple buff. Won't be able to find any pressure. Trifecta just playing it safe on that left-hand side with the Ganesha and the Artemis too. Both the Hunters going towards those Devourer's Gauntlets we've seen oh so often. And the supports now all focus on the Shoes of Focus.
That's after the power buff, now you get 55 magical power for this item, and still it's about the same amount of cost as the other ones. A little bit more expensive than your Talaria shoes, but certainly worth the price. You just get so much extra damage in that early game. It helps you clear faster. It gives you more kill potential, and you lose out of the mobility a little bit, sure. And there are times where I think reinforced are still the right call. We see it here and there, but
you can always change them out.
Not a whole lot.
You always change them out in the late game as a support player anyway. It's not a big bit of doom and gloom there in the grand scheme of things. Although, you know, cooldown, mana, definitely 2 things that supports would like, and the extra power doesn't really hurt them to help them with the clear in the early stages, yeah.
No, it really doesn't. The kill potential, I mean, Terra can basically half-health someone with her combo and in combination with her ultimate, if not more. Ganesh can do the same if he finds a really good ultimate into a knockup, so there's certainly potential there.
Left-hand side, Homiefe is looking for a bit of a gank pressure here. Darkest of Nights used early on. Mask was also ganking at the same time, but the pick there is onto Jigz. Homie's now here, though, and Zap will fall down before Jigz has even been taken out. He gets away from the danger fields. The beads definitely must have come into play there for Jigz to avoid some of that damage. CLG get themselves on the board early when it was Trifecta that initiated the gank first.
Mask and Neil are really counting on Zap being there on the come down of that Windfire wheels to lay down a trap and guarantee that Jigz just sits in the bug zapper that entire time from Ganesh's ultimate. But the fact that Homie and Snoopy just all in commit to Zapman during Darkest of Nights as well. So Neil is like, well, what's going on? Am I still dropping ultimate for Mask? Like, what is happening in the midst of this team fight? It really breaks down the communication there for Trifecta, and Zap gets left totally alone on the back end of that team fight. And if that was going to be Zapman for Jigz, CLG still fine with that, especially because they were going to get the first blood. The fact that Jigz gets his Earth and Fury off, is able to heal in the middle of the air, and the main damage is distracted, it just means that was easy pickings for CLG.
So yeah, they get a bit of bonus gold, mainly around Homiefe's waist for that first blood, but at the same time, I mean, didn't really hurt Zap too much. He didn't use his beads. He also wanted to go back to base anyway to finish off his Devourer's Gauntlets. If anything, he gets him a bit of a lead over Snoopy in the lane on stacking up that a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, and that's the big brain plays right there. The tactical feed in all its glory, getting himself back to base even faster. It really isn't a disaster for Zapman by any stretch. I mean, Snoopy gets some extra damage, gets further in his passive, but you're just kind of playing it safe in the early game as Artemis anyways.
It'd have been worse if someone in the dual lane had gotten the kill, I think is what I want to say there. Because I think if we saw Snoopy get that kill, it would have caused Zapman more problems as the laning phase went on. But realistically, no. It's not going to cause too many issues. Obviously, CLG trying to freeze the wave right now and actually attempt a cheeky Gold Fury.
Hurriwind has that snipe available to secure if necessary, but Neil's here, and Ganesh ultimate is a lot like Hu Yi ult, and that it's a lot of little ticks, but it's the faster ticks that concern you a little bit.
Darkest of Night used there by Snoopy at the right sort of time too, because those Dharmic Pillars just came through from NeiruMah looking for a pick in the jungle onto CLG. Won't happen this time round, but the main thing is the Gold Fury didn't end up falling.
And those that ultimate from Homie is just because he doesn't have his purification beads from the last fight. Can't afford to get sashed by Mask in that spot because he's definitely dead before he gets a chance to do anything after he hits the ground, because Zap could be there, NeiruMah could be there with the CC chain. So playing a little bit safe, doesn't have any CDR in the build, so he's going to have to wait a little bit for that Fatal Strike to come back up, but better than taking an early death.
The man fight continues in the solo lane, as you expect to see, between a Hercules and Chaac. No one's really going to get close towards that, and if they do, it's generally a misplay at this level. No one should really be in that spot. Left-hand side, though, fight over the left-hand Harpies, and the snipe used by Hurriwind there. That could be a go sign for Trifecta around the goal for Yuri.
And he only has 10% CDR right now, hasn't back to finish off that Chronos Pendant, so certainly some potential there as fineokay
Looking for some kill opportunities here on a Scary because Homie's on the way.
And then immediately Mask will take fineokay to the sky there. Land back down. Boulder comes out too. Just trying to buy a bit of a window. Mask took a lot more damage than he bargained for. But now Hurriwind on the rotation takes a lot from Paul too. Final Judgment fired, but didn't find a home. The beads have been used, so the stun won't be available for Paul to follow up. Everybody gets away.
That was close. Paul's ultimate is actually perfect in that spot because it either hits Hurriwind or makes him susceptible to that Earthshaker or Breaker. Yeah, that's the Breaker. He breaks the Earth. I always have to go through that in my head. It actually forces Hurriwind to either get hit by the ult or get pulled back in by Scary. In that instance, gets pulled back in, late beads by Hurry, but doesn't get punished for it. Using that geometry on the blue buff perfectly.
Left-hand side, Snoopy's having his buff stolen away. Don't think he was managed to secure that one whatsoever. Zap and NeiruMah won't even pick it up. They're just going to run for safety, knowing that CLG could be on the way. Homie's going to find Mask in the jungle. Won't find the execute on the ultimate. Wasn't in threshold, but he will send Mask back to base.
I don't mind that call from Homie. Great stun from Paul, but just not enough. Great snipe from Hurriwind. Force out the Aegis, but Snoopy just got 2v2'd on left.
Yeah, Zapman managed to get the kill, and NeiruMah will survive. Hurriwind does pick up the scraps on Paul in the mid lane. After Paul did a very good job of using that Aegis to avoid the snipe damage out from Hurriwind. It's 2-1 now. The kill. 1 for Hurriwind, 1 for Zapman.
That's got to feel pretty good for Hurriwind because remember, he got soloed on Paul's debut a couple games ago in week 1 of the summer split. So to get the counter solo, now they're even, and Hurriwind can probably sleep a little bit better at night.
We can. Chronos Pennant's online for both the mid laners now, Hurriwind and, of course, Paul. Playing Thoth and Ra, no real surprise to see them both going for the extra cooldown reduction. Hurry, actually a little bit further ahead when you think about it. 40% CDR right now.
Very much so, just because he has that Mage's Blessing, and his XP per minute is way higher. And it's no secret that part of that is because he's able to stay on the map longer than his opposition.
Love the fact he's not scared of throwing that snipe out every single time. On cooldown, just secure camps, it's XP, it matters. And because of that, you can see Paul's only level 10. No one even hit 11 off that buff because too many members share it.
Exactly. It's the fact that Hurriwind's gotten a lot of solo waves in the mid lane. Paul has as well, but Hurry's been able to move around and get extra camps a little bit better. It's also because he's been able to stay on the map longer because he has more MP5, more sustain, and Paul's been forced to back a little bit more often than Hurriwind.
Do we expect to see another Cursed Donk this game?
I would if I'm Trifecta. Yeah, it's for the Ra because it hits 4 members of CLG. It hits Ra, it hits Achilles when he uses his 2, it hits Fine when he heals, and it'll hit everyone when Jigz ults them. So yes, I think that I'd be surprised if NeiruMah goes for anything but a Cursed Donk and once he hits level 12.
I do feel Cursed Donk is probably one of the best relics to deal with the healing meta that we're currently going through. The problem is it works better at the competitive level because you're all communicating well of like, hey, I'm gonna pop this and we're gonna kill that healer. Whereas, you know, your casual games, your ranked games, not everybody notices you pop that relic at the right time, and sometimes it gets squandered.
That's certainly true, but basically everything is better at a competitive level that requires any sort of communication.
Is it though?
There are things that get worse at a competitive level, like Loki, because there is communication, but yeah, like items and relics and that kind of stuff are always better at a competitive level.
There's gods that get better at this level, like Giannis.
Yeah, exactly. So there's gods that get worse and gods that get better. Mostly gods that get better.
Well, right-hand side, Scary D went a little bit too far forward here and has to get away from the danger that was about to be presented. The driving strike will do just that. Left-hand side, purple buff going to Zapman once more. He gets that for himself now at level 12. Bit of a lead over Snoopy in this duo lane, and that will come down to the fact that he got a kill against Snoopy.
It looks like Hurriwind's going for a Rod of Asclepius in that 3rd item slot, and man, is that going to pay a lot of dividends. I mean, he's getting increased healing. Jigz, Homie, and fineokay are also going to get increased healing. Movement speed, health, power, it does it all. So
and CDR.
And CD. No, Asclepius doesn't get CDR.
Oh, it doesn't get it?
No.
My bad.
You think we should put it on there?
Yeah, why not? You know? What else does a mage healer need, you know? I mean, not even a mage healer, just a general guardian healer too.
Hindu, you mind opening up the Smite servers and putting that on real quick?
As long as we can put 20% CD on Lotus Crown too, just to make it for good measure. Jigz has to use those beads early on. Still gets hit by the stun that Paul held onto nicely to fire in his direction. No further follow-up, but that pressure was to try and get some aggression around the red buff, which is stolen away. The snipe came out from Hurriwind at the perfect moment, giving Homiefe the kill. Homie can't get his ultimate off in time to escape Zapman, but Zapman gets hit by the walls from Jigz. But Jigz under pressure from Paul and Scary D.
Scary just doing too much in this engagement. Look, CLG get off to a great start there. They insta-kill Mask before his ultimate does anything. and it just doesn't matter because it's a 5-on-4. fineokay just wasn't there, and Scary ends up making a huge difference in that fight. Homie goes a little bit too far forward after that. It felt a little bit scary to come back towards, well, Scary when he was by the red buff, but that's the better call because your only protection if he goes forward like he did is Snoopy, and Snoopy can't really help you from an Artemis ult.
No, not this time round. Oracles go the way of Trifecta then. 3-3, gold lead about 1,000 in CLG's favor at the moment. Snoopy just trying to clear up this wave as quick as possible. NeiruMah was hanging around, but won't be aggressive just yet.
Level 13 now for both hunters, and I'm interested to see where Snoopy's going to go, if he will go for crit this time around to match the crit that Zapman will almost, yeah, he's already going for it because he's Artemis, he's got crit built in, and he just seems to like that build path. Wouldn't be surprised to see Snoopy go for more of the pen option because of the Hercules.
The fineokay puts some pressure on Paul, has to Aegis early, avoids the snipe with a juke to the left. NeiruMah dropped the Dharmic pillars over the walls, and the turnaround could be here. Mask going aggressive towards Hurriwind, getting the Aegis out of him, but fineokay still attached to Paul.
Still safe for the second. Scary has a potential to get a 1-2 combo, not the 2-1, but close the gap then.
At least the fighting.
Exactly, but yeah, see, Trifecta's certainly fighting all right.
I mean, game 1, there was no real fighting. It was just one team fighting. Then game 2, it was one fight, the game was over. Game 3, we got some fights.
Been a little bit back and forth, 3-3, but now CLG maybe collapsing on a Trifecta around this red buff. Scary's on red, and everyone else pretty far.
Yeah, Homie's trying to retreat back to the left-hand side, but dashes away from NeiruMah, who was coming in there. Scary D, need a bit of poke from Snoopy, but as soon as Hurriwind shows up, got to be careful. Hurriwind tried to predict Scary Duke in that. That's why that snipe was off the mark. He expected Scary D to step to the left. I could see that, read it, but Scary just held his ground.
Best juke is no juke, and Scary shows that off once more. And without Hurriwind's snipe, I mean, this Gold Fury pool is much, much riskier. Now, he does have the Rod of Asclepius, so the sustain that CLG is going to have around this Gold Fury will be really, really important, but still too risky. Paul's ultimate is back up now. You don't want to fight with fire like that.
Talking about Paul, he's the only one with any anti-heal so far in this game for Trifecta with that Divine Ruin in the mid lane. Does end up reducing some of the damage you can output, but obviously gives you that very important anti-heal ability to put some pressure back on. Second relic is available for NeiruMah now. We'll see if he goes for the Cursed Donk, which he did in game 2. Not sure if he can, though. I don't know if it's an option. It feels like he should be, but then it feels very awkward to try and get here.
He did it. He got it and upgraded it right away as well, which I love. I think that it feels bad to spend 500 gold right away and lose some progress in your build, basically, but he bought the Stone of Binding already. That's a cheap power spike in that third item slot. That's what both of these supports have been doing every game so far. It looks like Jigz is breaking from that norm, going for maybe a Genji's Guard or an Oni Hunters, possibly. But either way, I think that it's the right call from NeiruMah, and I love that Paul gets that anti-heal early, because against a team comp like this, you can't have it early enough.
Oracle's about to spawn again, and Trifecta there on cooldown consistently, just trying to take those ones away, secure the Gold Fury pit. They've got to be very wary of Hurriwind and those snipes consistently, so any window that they present for doing that Gold Fury, CLG will take. Now, though, they're grouping up for the red buff on the left-hand side.
No relics for Hurriwind, so he has to be very careful about where Mask is at any given time. Mask has his blink and his ult up. Hurry gets his beads up now, and that's why CLG feels a little bit more comfortable going for this.
CLG have to commit, because right inside they're going to lose a tier 1 tower soon. Scary D still not rotated his mid lane right about now. Gold Fury down below half health. NeiruMah on the front line. Mask looking for the ring toss, and we'll find it. Snipe comes through. CLG get the gold, and Jigz is under pressure, but with a quick beads and an ult, he looks to walk away from the engagement. Homiefe and fineokay on this right hand side. Now as Scary D finally turns up.
Fine gets a pretty decent ultimate off, and that chased out the ultimate from Zapman, which is going to ping pong around, but Homie on the backside finds the execute on the Mask, and Homie didn't take any damage. No one turned.
Yeah, very, very strange situation there to see Mask fall down. Only Homie was just fighting one-on-one, and the Warrior came up big after the Gold Fury go in the way of CLG. Homie gets a kill, and now it's a 4-on-5. CLG may want to turn towards the Pyromancer.
They easily can, because the sustain is coming into play. I mean, and Hurriwind's ult is already up because of that crazy CDR he has.
Maybe you could just find a pick in the jungle, and those walls come crashing down, as does the snipe from Hurriwind. NeiruMah will die to Homiefe, and the pressure is all on the tier 1 tower now. Snoopy just able to whack away at this for a few seconds. But Scary, Zap, and Paul still hanging around.
Still could be an easy Pyromancer pull here. Paul's ultimate is up. fineokay gets delivered, but his ultimate also up. And he's still Chaac at this point in the game and pretty much unkillable, even without a lot of magical defense, because Paul's magic damage isn't particularly high at this point.
So what's going wrong with Trifecta in there around that Gold Fury aggro? What was waiting so long? Was Scary too late? Was the team not aggressive enough? Why was Paul's ult not charged and fired? Like what?
The zone was pretty solid from Jigz. Jigz creates a nice zone and prevents anyone from really stepping up, but I wonder if Mask was put in combat there, because I'd love to see him just blink in, toss the ring, and then ult right away to try and force CLG off of that Gold Fury, or maybe just blink in and ult. NeiruMah's ultimate was solid. It made sure that Snoopy only had one way to go once they dropped that Gold Fury, but Hurriwind just had a well-timed snipe to secure it. It's just that Trifecta was a little bit slow on pushing forward. Snoopy was low from tanking that up for so long and for standing in NeiruMah's ult, and Trifecta just didn't really engage off of it. They don't have that same engagement that they had in Game 2 with the Athena dash taunt. You're kind of relying on Mask's blink initiations, and that time he didn't get one off.
So 5-3 it stands then. That 1k-ish lead is all down to the Gold Fury now, as well as the first blood at the beginning of the game. Ryan Harpy's going to go the way of Homiefe here at level 16, equal to that of Paul, who just gets hit by the walls, and a blink from Homiefe after the snipe from Hurriwind could be Paul's death. A punch from Jigz to the back of the mush will bring down the bird, and the other bird still going is fineokay now into the mix.
Man, Hurriwind snipes have been so solid this game. fineokay knocks up a couple, and Zapman uses the ultimate in response again, but fineokay is getting CC chained. He's dead to that tower shot. That cursed Ankh helping out a little bit from NeiruMah, but it still isn't enough to save the tier 1 tower. And now CLG might be able to go to that Pyromancer this time.
And they're heading over in that direction. The right-hand side lane is pushed up towards the tier 2, so you're going to be a little bit careful here running back towards. But quick snipe again from Hurriwind. We're going to be saying that all day long. How many final judgments have we seen fired? I think like 1.
Less than 5.
I think we saw 1 thrown at Hurriwind at one point in time. Outside of that, I've not seen it used.
And that has not been used quite a bit. And Paul's kind of been abused in this set, at least in games 1 and game 3. This Thoth selection, Trifecta has gone with very, very early. Both times they've picked it, and it just hasn't really borne fruit so far for Trifecta. I don't know. Paul's an aggressive player, and Thoth is inherently a little bit less aggressive in the early game, and just hasn't been able to utilize it come mid to late.
A little bit more anti-heal coming out from both teams now as well. The cursed Ankh for Jigz has also been picked up here too.
Now, I will say Paul's doing great damage. He's second on the team in player damage, second in the game in player damage right now. It just hasn't been effective player damage. It hasn't really resulted in a lot of kills. And
it's not even if he gets kills, it's about objectives too, right?
Right,
like,
it's
if you don't get kills, you have to objectives.
Exactly, and I mean, Trifecta has 4 kills, and Paul's only been a part of 1 of those. So you can have all the damage in the world, it just hasn't translated to not only him not getting kills, but the entire team not getting any kills.
And Trifecta, where all those 4 kills have come, seems to be towards the duo lane. NeiruMah has been involved in all 4, as has Zapman. So they need to be playing around the duo lane a little bit more so now.
Zap has looked really good in this set. Even in game 1, he's the only one who made a play for Trifecta. And I think that, Trifecta fans may go, oh, well, Zap's back and now we're playing worse, but I don't really think that's...
I will say, I think Zap being potentially removed from the team when Matt Yankee was still on this team was a wake-up call to Zapman, and he's looked good since. In fairness, since his return, it's like he's put on another level. I think he was just coasting because he could, and now he realized, oh no, I'm not the Zapman of Season 1 that everybody wants me on the team. Oh no, I'm going to actually have to play the game now.
Right, and he has done it very well. Blink ultimate onto Jigz. This is a little bit of a risk. Jigz can get his ultimate off here on the ground and will do so. Don't know if Cursed Ankh came out, but I do know Jigz is safe.
And the snipe will keep everybody safe, I think, because Trifecta's still alive. Zapman takes out Snoopy, and Homiefe answers back on NeiruMah. Homiefe has to run away, gets away. His fineokay finally turns up towards his fight. He was hanging around mid, but the damage has been done to CLG. They're trying to fall back and regen. Scary D making sure that's not as easy as it sounds.
Difference in that fight, Paul hits a big final judgment that crushes down Snoopy. That's really the only difference. fineokay uses his ultimate, forces Trifecta off Gold Fury for the moment. Hurriwind's getting that snipe back soon, but he's in trouble.
Yeah, because Scary D just able to right around the back and pick up the kill. Paul gets credit for it, but now Paul under pressure by the Chaac has to Aegis away. fineokay just trying to fall back towards mid lane now after Trifecta. Do very well in the engagement finally. I was a little bit concerned because that Jigz play was a bit awkward for me, trying to all-in Jigz who escaped.
Agreed. I still don't like that call at all.
No.
That entire fight gets saved because Paul one-shot Snoopy. Snoopy died with both relics up, and that's the whole difference. I mean, the damage is pretty close. Imagine if you had a 24-minute Xbalanque in that fight for CLG. That's a different fight for sure, and that's what you need sometimes. Not every call doesn't have to be perfect. You have to just make do with what you got, and in that position, Paul makes a play, and every mistake that Trifecta made in that team fight is washed away because of it.
So 7-6 then, gold is relatively even between the two. Everyone's approaching level 20 as well, which means experience won't matter much either. Attention on the map now will turn towards the Fire Giant side, with that being the only neutral objective to really look at contesting. And with most players reaching that final destination of level 20, it means they don't need to farm as much or as heavily. It's more about the team fights.
Everyone still needs some items, though. I mean, fineokay and Homie have 5 complete items, but they still need to get towards their 6th. All of Trifecta is still waiting for their 5th items outside of Zapman. So I expect that we'll still see a little bit of farming, but certainly less of the outright laning than what we saw through the first 24 minutes of this game. Pyromancer will certainly be a heavy topic of contention.
Jigz definitely happy to be on the forefront, especially if he's going to get focused the way he did in the last engagement. If anything, that should have paid off for CLG a little bit more, but Hurriwind just couldn't find the damage on that snipe that time round to secure a kill, or even just forcing Trifecta into an awkward spot. Quick check of damage from CLG on the Fire Giant there, and test the response time out of Trifecta, but they already knew the police were hanging around already, making sure that wasn't going on.
You were so close to not making it about crime like Thoth always does.
To be fair, he stole that from me, but that's okay. I'm used to people stealing stuff.
That's even more crime, Graham. Come on.
I get used to it. You know, it's the way it is. I'm not even savage anymore. I'm just honest.
But that's how people know you still. Like, you're still that guy.
Yeah, I guess. At least they know me for something, I guess. So
we gambled on our cast. I don't know if you heard that.
I heard a whole 30 cents.
He still hasn't paid me, by the way.
Whole 30 cents. I don't know where you get 30 cents from.
A quarter and a nickel?
I don't know where you get it from. That's what I was saying. Like, I get paid in only gems at this place.
Well, I know, but I mean, I assume Tom is going to go stand out on a corner and ask for some change until he gets enough.
I thought you were talking about Tom standing in the street corner. It's not weekend just yet. fineokay. And Jigz under pressure, but absorb all the damage that came out. Homiefe, meanwhile, absorbs all of Paul into his kill column once more. Homie trying to get away, but Mask is going to catch him at the right time.
Yeah, Mask got him dead to rights now, and Hurry Snipe is already down, was looking to peel for his jungler. Paul falls now using ultimate or beads. Aegis was on cooldown, and that's the big one. But then Homie didn't really have a good escape path out.
Trifecta thought the CLG may have just fallen back then, so start up the Pyromancer, but not to be. Jigz taking a bit more damage than bargained for there, has to dash away. Mask heals up momentarily, but Snoopy pulls the Pyro again. Has a bit of crit in this kit. It was paying through there. Looks like Trifecta going to surrender this potentially. It's only Scaredy and Zap left to defend.
I don't know. I think they might try and at least give some sort of defense. And Zap being here alone with Scary is enough of a deterrent because Zap has done so much in this game. And he's still pretty safe. He's still got both relics up.
Yeah, still has both relics. No ultimate just yet, but plenty of damage too. CLG looking to burst it down and will do so. Scaredy went for the alley-oop boulder. Won't be able to find it this time around. Just a little bit too late to the snipe damage out from Hurriwind.
Hurry likely has enough for Soul Reaver at this point, so probably wants to back, or is at least getting close for enough for Soul Reaver. We'll farm up this right wave before heading back to base. Golden Hand tells me that, yeah, he's getting pretty darn close. Plus his buffs are up on that left-hand side, so wants to be able to back and get those. I believe if he sold his Mage's Blessing, he could get that Soul Reaver, but maybe my mental math's a little bit off.
Does feel very much like this is all about just one team. Both teams are just trying to close out with one team fight, it feels, every single fight. They poke, they go for an engage. If it doesn't work out, they fall back. They don't continue committing, trying to force the engagement. And that's what seems to happen is that they both seem to stare at each other for a moment and go, did you win or did we win? All right, well, if we won, we should get this objective, right? It's kind of been this tail of the tape so far.
CLG did well enough in that last one, but Homie doesn't have his beads for about 45 seconds. Same we said for Mask, a little bit longer on his, actually, 70 on the Naja bead. So both junglers a little bit vulnerable. Difference is Homie just got his Magi's Cloak popped, whereas Mask's is still intact.
Yeah, Earthbreaker out by Scaredy. Won't be able to knock anybody up that time round as fineokay and Jigz just took a step forward. Left-hand tier 1 tower may fall on the next wave coming through there in favor of Trifecta, but Mask in the jungle. He caught a target, and it's actually onto Homiefe, who was going in. No beads, remember, but the snipe hits Zap on the back line.
But he's still good. Homie escapes. fineokay with a nice ultimate, but immediately gets trapped upon landing. Final Judgment sets up Scary D to knock him down.
Homiefe, as you saw, ended up back in base there as they did pick up that kill. Zapman's board did a lot of work in that engagement, just slowed down a couple of members, set up that damage for that one pick onto fineokay. Tier 1 tower on the left-hand side did fall to those minions now, and I'm looking through relics and ultimates going, what's next on the list in this game?
Get a tower or Gold Fury here for Trifecta. You don't have that long with fineokay on the respawn. Now they'll go to Fire Giant. Took him a little bit. Mask wanted to get his buff, and NeiruMah needed to back. Hurriwind's coming, though.
Yeah, nobody else is here from CLG. This is all Hurriwind looking for a steal, but as you said, no vision. He was on the mark. That's the main thing to mention. There's nothing worse than being off the mark with those.
Yeah, I like that from Hurriwind because he's got no vision, has to use it at max range to not kill himself by trying to steal it. And it's like, I don't know when they started it. I don't know the health, but maybe I'll hit and steal this away. And if I don't, oh well, I've got a million CDR and I'll have my ult back before anyone even thinks about doing anything defensive on our team. So ends up working out A-okay for Trifecta.
And now because of that, Trifecta got a tier 1 in mid. They got the left one for free. The right one was already down. And a Fire Giant round all their wastes. Is this time to start grouping up now because there's nothing else to do?
Gold Fury down because CLG just got it. Yeah, it's time to start taking tier 2s off the map. And unlike last game where it felt like CLG could defend some of their tier 2s and did so successfully, I don't think I'm that keen on defending tier 2s now as CLG because the gold isn't really that relevant. Everyone is 5.5, 6 items deep. By the time Trifecta backs next time, they'll be full build anyways. So you may as well just give up the harder to defend objectives in the tier 2s and take the more advantageous fights around your Phoenixes.
We can tell CLG's game plan is play through Homiefe on the engagements. We were worried about how their engages were going to go this game with the composition they put together. The answer is Homiefe dies, they're losing quite a considerable amount of pressure in these fights. And Trifecta may be able to turn it around based off that. Mask is the one that's doing the same thing, actually, for Trifecta this game, but it has a bit more flexibility, I would say, in getting in and out of these fights.
Very much so, and it's worked. It's been really difficult to stop on Trifecta's side. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because it's Chaac, but it feels like even with fineokay doing the most damage on his team, there's been no impact from the Chaac. And I don't think it's on fineokay. He's gotten good ults off, but how many times has Zapman just ulted it, stunned him, killed him right after that, and just gone on about his team fight without really breaking a sweat? Chaac just doesn't exert that pressure. He doesn't threaten you at all.
Tier 2 on the left is now down, and everybody on Trifecta moves towards the mid. Scaredy had to base there for safety, make sure that Homiefe didn't continue the split push, but the rest of his team will take this tier 2 tower, start swinging into the jungle. Speedbuff has just spawned, but Paul on a different call than everybody else, it seems. And that quick little dash is like, no, don't abandon me, please, team.
Paul, where are you going? And he's like, oh, my bad.
I thought we were going Fire Giant.
Yeah, exactly. Fire is not going to be up for a little bit. They've still got about a minute and a half on that buff, and then it'll be respawning a minute after that. Like I said, CLG has no real interest in defending their tier 2s. It won't really impact the outcome of this game if Trifecta get to full build because they were already so close. And CLG's so close to full build themselves that it's not going to put Trifecta massively ahead.
Yeah, Trifecta at the moment have taken this very, very slow, actually. Just took those 2 tier 2 towers and went, let's strip away some of the jungle and maybe catch someone pushing out a base here more than anything else, just pushing a little bit too deep. But CLG have some wall coverage around to see there's a couple of members grouped on this left-hand side. Scary D, meanwhile, will push out the right. Nice little snipe from Hurriwind, just going to damage check on Zapman. But with a Fire Giant around his waist, he'll sustain back up relatively quick unless the chase continues.
That's the initiation for CLG because that
Snipe?
Yeah, Snipe. Honestly, we saw Energy do it like earlier on this split where they're just using Yaman as the initiation to like get the enemy team to start running away because they're low. If he would have hit Mask, it probably would have been a little bit more impactful, but Zap gets to heal with his lifesteal. So even though it was accurate from Hurriwind, a little bit unfortunate. That being said, what did he lose? His ult's already back up.
Well, he waited around a little while there for a moment or two, did Trifecta, and then start pushing down left again. But now they're off to the right-hand side. I don't think Trifecta are really struggling with shot calling. That's what it kind of feels like to me. It's like, what do we want to do? Like we kind of just wasted this whole Fire Giant hanging around the left-hand side of the map. I don't get that.
I mean, once you get the Fire Giant, sometimes you'll have a team kind of lay out their objectives for what they want to get with that buff. And likely all Trifecta wanted to get with that buff was wipe the tier 2 towers off. Maybe we'll dance around a Phoenix, but let's not heavy commit unless something changes. So if you ask Trifecta as soon as they get that Fire Giant, yo, you do nothing except strip away their buffs and get all these tier 2 towers. Is that okay with you? They would have likely said yes. They're not looking to push anything further than that.
And now because of that, they will be able to finish off all those final items. Everybody on Trifecta 6 slotted now and up heavily. CLG not too far behind, however. Just the Mage's Blessing and the Guardian's Blessing, which Guardian's Blessing disappears as I say it, as does the Mage's, just casters curses. So near enough full items. Gold won't really matter anymore. It is nearly 35 minutes in.
Hurriwind going for a Rod of Tahuti just for the outright power, it feels like. Also, if someone's right around that 50% mark, that snipe will hit and kill him.
I'm on that train now.
About the last item Rod again?
Just Tahuti in general be a
it's really good.
If you don't favor the cooldown reduction from a Chronos Pendant, it's actually more mana regen for you than the Chronos Pendant. And 50% health is a threshold that you will get people to a lot of the time too. It sold me more as time's gone on.
I don't like this from CLG.
Not contested?
Not contesting at all. I mean, there's no pressure on their base. That's usually what prevents you from contesting fire
Is this
giants.
because they want to fight at Phoenixes? Is that why?
I mean, I'm sure they do. They don't mind fighting at Phoenixes because it's much more in their favor than just in the jungle. But I don't think that Trifecta's jungle team fight comp is so good that it's impossible to fight in those spots. I think it's just been difficult for fineokay and Homie to be on the same targets in a lot of these team fights. But I don't know. Overall, gifting an enhanced fire giant to a team like Trifecta just feels a little bit odd to me.
Well, here we go then. The siege at 35 minutes from Trifecta. Right-hand Phoenix is the focal point. Scaredy on that Hercules will more than likely lead the charge in. Mask in the jungle looking towards push out mid lane a little bit more now. So Trifecta going to be patient for a moment or two while they allow Mask to do that.
This does buy Hurriwind some more time. Can we actually check his golden hand to see how close he is to that Rod of Tahuti? Not close at all. I was wondering maybe they were doing Gold Fury because that would be enough gold for Hurriwind to automatically get Rod, and they feel like their chances to win with Rod are much better than without it, even against a Fire Giant, but that wasn't the call. Instead, he bought a Power Pot, actually, to give himself even more power on this little siege, understanding that this could be the game.
Mask and Homie both still mid lane. Mask now making the rotation after Wave pushes into the Phoenix. Scaredy eating more damage than he bargained for, but just stepped out of the Phoenix range in time before those walls came crashing down. Hurriwind at the right sort of angle to get a nice snipe off through the whole team if they line up beautifully, but he's got to time it well.
Paul knows he's there, though, and trying to put some pot shots in onto Hurriwind, dancing around them nicely.
But he's hitting Jigz more than anything else. But Jigz won't be able to sustain back up. A sleepiest Lotus Crown in tow. It will allow them a bit more effect. Sorry, apologies, not a Lotus Crown whatsoever. I actually thought I saw one in his ability, but it's not.
No, it just has that the double heal, the Monolith, and the raw heal on top of one another means that he's healing up pretty darn quickly. Trifecta reset, take the enemy buffs. They've still got 2 minutes left on this Fire Giant. They've got nothing to back for at this point. Maybe some power potions, but even then, it looks like Scary and Paul each have one. You're basically just waiting until CLG makes a mistake now.
And it seems to be they're just playing around the right opportunity, being very opportunistic is the right word for it. Like just looking for the right window of time. Game one, this is a big turnaround from Trifecta because game one, they looked sluggish, if anything, and didn't really put anything together. But now they're knocking on CLG's Phoenixes in game three, tied up with the Fire Giant around them. And CLG just hoping they can find something good. Jigz pulled in.
Jigz has to use that ultimate right away. Artemis ult was used, and it gets some solid value, but Final Judgment clipped Snoopy. That'll force him back to base.
And now Mask gets taken up into the sky. It takes Jigz up into the sky again. Meanwhile, Hurriwind has to Aegis on the left-hand side, putting a bit of pressure onto him as well. Jigz dashes away. fineokay now under pressure. Phoenix not even taking much damage at the moment. Trifecta swarming the characters of CLG, looking to reduce the damage, but Snoopy's back.
Oh, Fatal Strike, not gonna land. A double kill for Mask off the ring bounce. Gets himself a double. And now Trifecta get an easy mid-Phoenix.
fineokay will escape for the moment, but the Phoenix is already dead. All members of Trifecta still alive. Paul dashes in, looks for the stun on Hurriwind, doesn't find it. Focuses on the Titan. This could be it. Trifecta are going to take this 2-1.
Wow, what a bounce back after that game one victory for CLG where Trifecta look listless, just not even there. Mentally, they come back and have a really tough game two and game three and find a really impressive set victory.
It was a very slow-paced set between these two. Very tactical battle, I will say, of in and out engagements that, at the end of the day, kind of play into Trifecta's favor more as the games went on.
Yeah, beforehand, I would have probably said that I think that favors CLG because Trifecta is the more like push forward, you know, all-in sort of team. But Trifecta's showing that they're a flexible squad. They don't have to get really far ahead in the early game to win games.
Who do you guys at home think deserves the MVP from Trifecta's point of view? There's a few names that probably spring to mind. I think Zap's kind of vying for it.
I think Zap certainly is the top candidate. Alongside Paul, he had a very good game on that Thoth. He really did change the complexion of that game with that one ult around the Gold Fury, but Zap was there consistently putting out damage every single team fight. He was huge for Trifecta.
But Trifecta taking this one against CLG. CLG is supposed to be like one of these teams that should be breaking into the top 3, right? Right?
I would have said so a couple weeks ago. They lost every game until last week. They found 2 set victories last week, but now they're back on the losing side. I don't know how fair it is to expect that from them anymore.
Awkward times for CLG fans then, but happiness for the Trifecta boys. They're starting to find some more wins. Let's head over to the desk to break this one down.
Great cast, guys, for a great game. And frankly, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't root for teams. I root for the good story. And seeing Trifecta beat CLG, I mean, I'm all in, Anatoly.
Yet again, same exact way in week 1, where CLG picks up game 1 and then Trifecta bounce back in 2 and 3, and a lot of credit to the hyper carries, Paul and Zapman, for stepping it up. Paul made a spectacular play onto Snoopy around that 24-minute mark, clipping him with a final judgment, and Zapman just does late game Artemis things, picking off the necessary targets with both Scary D and Mask setting him up.
Yeah, I mean, this is just quintessential Trifecta. I think Trifecta is too young to say that there is an identity, like a quintessential Trifecta game. But looking at all 5 of these players, I think this is what could become the quintessential Trifecta win. Paul and Zapman doing the big dirty work off of Scary D. And this is really exciting for me personally, Totally, because one of the nice things about watching some of the other competitive teams is that they have multiple options. Mask is the first option here. Mask is supposed to be 10, 0, and 10, but that doesn't happen every time. So Zapman steps in, and he can be your secondary option, and he's going to be your primary MVP.
And it was a lot of credit to just his other frontliners. It was also NeiruMah stepping up. Being able to kill somebody during Darkest of Night, that takes a lot of focus to do, and Zapman been around since the beginning from the block, so making it happen today.
I mean, look, real talk, Zapman has his fans and Zapman has his detractors, but there is one thing that you can't say, there's one thing that you can say about this guy, and he is a phenomenal hunter. And I think that he has had his struggles throughout the course of a little bit of the summer split, but watching him continue and come into himself, be old Zapman, I think I speak it, the fan in me gets very excited to watch Zapman, because I think he just brings excitement to the battlefield.
He was very patient in a lot of these team fights. Sometimes Homiefe would be a little bit ahead of himself, blinking into the backline, finding a pick onto Mask on several occasions, but Zapman was always there to clean up. And this allows Trifecta now to head into week 4, or the remainder of this week at least, with a 3-3 record.
I want to touch on Counterlogic Gaming before we head into match number 2, though, Toli. CLG here, I mean, Homiefe, 6 kills in total, if I'm not mistaken, for the Achilles jungle. Did what he needed to do, right? I mean, sometimes I watch these teams and one guy's just trying so hard to get the victory. CLG seemed to be, one guy's always working. Has trouble to find the wins. Totally, how does CLG come together and find their victories?
They picked something other than Chaac soloing, because that was only a distraction. There were so many times when fineokay was going into the front line, but Chaac is basically a distraction. Everyone collapses onto him. It allows a lot of freedom for Homiefe to get those 6 kills. But if there was a little bit more control, a little bit more knockback, whether you're looking at Hercules, Sobek, or Tyr even comes to mind potentially, to win team fights, and that's the presence that CLG need. They need something that will impact the team fights a little bit better than a Chaac.
That does it for Trifecta and CLG. Trifecta taking this one in 3 games. Coming up next is going to be Luminosity versus Splice. Totally and I will be on the call. We'll see you in a soon.